We are here at the Chapel of Memories. I'm with Scott Stricklin. Scott, thank you for being with us on the road in between.
Thank you, Tom. Great to be with you.
We are grateful. We are right here, and this is kind of the center of the campus.
Absolutely. It's Chapel of Memories was built in 1965. There's a great story behind its construction. Mississippi State used to have the largest single-house dorm on the campus called Old Main, and it burned down in 1959. It was a massive structure. It sits where the Union and McCool Hall currently are, and they took some of the reclaimed bricks from that project, from that fire, and they built this the Chapel of Memories, and it's been here since the mid-60s, and a lot of weddings and a lot of memories get made at the Chapel of Memories.
Fantastic. That's kind of our story, you know, is God recreates out of the ashes. God gives us resurrection, obviously at the end of life, but also along the way on our road in between. And I know you have had a wonderful career working your way through media relations, and now as the director of athletics here at Mississippi State. And can you tell us a little bit about your journey?
I was fortunate. I have two loving parents who made God a priority in our life and our family, and not only made God a priority, made church and being around other Christians a priority. And the other thing my parents did is, in addition to love, they gave us a lot of confidence and belief, and a lot of that came from understanding that God has a plan, and if we trust and have faith and are obedient, then he'll honor us with that plan. And so I came to Mississippi State, didn't really know what I wanted to do. I think my parents were a little bit worried about that part of it, and I came up here, and actually my first day as a freshman, I volunteered to work in the athletic department in the media relations office, and I ended up doing that my entire undergraduate career. It was almost, I ended up devoting a lot of time up there, and it was a great opportunity to get experience, to be around a college athletic department in the SEC, and get to know the coaches and the athletes and the administrators, but also the visiting coaches when they come in, and the media. And I was, as an 18, 20-year-old kid, I didn't think there was anything better. I thought I'd hit the height of my life. And
good choice of major right there. That was terrific.
Yeah, well, and fortunately, I figured out how to convert that into a job when I graduated, and have been in athletics ever since, and just feel really blessed to be in an area that I have a passion about. And you know, people, I talk to young people all the time. They're like, you know, I don't know what I want to do. I think I'd like to do this, and I want God to make that happen. And I tell them, you know, the true gift, one of the true gifts God gives us, isn't when He makes, when He gives us what our passion is, but when He makes our passion what His will for us is. When He matches that up. And so I tell them, hey, just pray that whatever God's will is, it becomes a passion for you. And if this is what it is, great. And for me, I feel like he synced that up, and that's a great blessing, and I've been able to make a career out of it.
You have, and you bring a lot of energy. And the word enthusiasm is the word entheos. People say, why do you have such energy? Well, when you're in God, in Christ, you have this joy that's deeper than happiness. And it's the sense that you are in God's will. And that gives you energy. And you certainly have got that. And you grew up in the church.
I did. And you know, it's you feel a lot of times, I think, when you grow up in the church that you don't have this wonderful, dramatic, life-changing story as people who may have come to Christ later in life. But I consider it such a blessing that, you know, as I said, my parents kind of modeled an example for me, and I think I think about things that they did often now that especially now that I have a family and I have kids, and how my parents handle things, and so then in our role we've got to model that for others, right? We've got to, whether it's our own children or people we work with, friends, employees, whatever, we've got to make sure we're modeling Christ and a God-centered life, and make sure they understand what our focus is.
You're at a fantastic time of your life, and as director of athletics here, you have the opportunity to shape this whole university, and that sense of discernment of, you know, who do you hire, and when is it time to move forward in a new season. I know that's a difficult part of your job.
No question. Making personnel changes is always difficult, and a lot of times you realize often after the fact that not only was it, when you make those changes, was it best for the institution or the school, it's probably best for that person too. It's not always easy to say that and have that conversation, but oftentimes that proves to be the case. You know, and I think that's where faith really comes in, is when you have difficult decisions you have to make. You have to have difficult conversations. You want to have those with as much humanity as possible, as much respect for the other person as possible, and I think, you know, having God in your life allows you to understand that part of it. You know, God, it's so interesting to go back and look at Christ's life. And when you read the Gospels, you know, Jesus had a lot of difficult conversations with people. And when he had it, he was pretty, he had a lot of humanity in him. You know, he really reached people on their level. And what a great gift he had at that. And that's a hard thing sometimes for us to do. But if we have Christ in our life, obviously it's easier to do it. But, you know, you talked about the platform or the opportunity working in college athletics. And, you know, especially in the South, where athletics is such an important part of our culture and our society. And
it's a religion.
Yeah, you know, on Saturdays in the fall, it brings so many people together, family and friends, and it really does provide us an unbelievable platform. And I remember, you know, my journey to become an athletic director is one that a man could have never laid it out the way it happened. And as a young person, like a lot of people do, I tried to plot it out myself.
Yeah, you connect the dots.
And you know, I finally had to sit back and let God say, "You just sit back, you just do what I'm having you do at the moment, and I'll lead you where I want you to go." And He did that. And when I ended up as athletic director here at Mississippi State, the thought dawned on me that, okay, God has opened these doors and put me in this position. It's not for me. He didn't put me in this position to honor me or to reward me. He's doing this because He's got a bigger purpose, and I need to figure out where I fit.
Yes.
And so I try to be mindful of that on a daily basis. And sometimes you get bogged down with the troubles that we all have, and you lose sight of that. But I really try to stay focused on. It's about these students who come into our program. We have 350 athletes who are representing Mississippi State, who are students here at MSU, and they're trying to get a degree. And obviously, they're getting ready for their next stage of life when they leave here. And we have a real duty to make sure that we nurture them and mentor them and care for them. We have about 170 staff members, and they're the ones oftentimes actually, you know, touching and being with the students. And so it's important that we get the right people and that they have the right heart and the right kind of understanding of why we're here. And then we represent 120,000 living alumni, 20,000 students on this campus, people who love this university, and it's really important that we represent that the right way. And so it's a great platform. We're really proud and honored to get to be a part of it, but we're well aware that it's far bigger than winning games, and it's far bigger than any one football season or any one year in a school academic calendar. It's part of a bigger story.
You know, a lot of the athletes that deal with criticism through social media, it seems it's so difficult now to you know, to teach the student athletes that sometimes it's better not even to look at it, right?
Right.
And probably has to be some education involved in that.
I tell you what, I'm 45 now. It's hard.
Today's your birthday.
Today's my birthday. It's hard for me to deal with criticism, and I don't deal with it well. I can't imagine what, you know, 18 to 22-year-old who is, you know, because they're really athletic and fast, they can be on national TV performing something at a high level, and they get back in the locker room after the game, and they pick up that phone and they start looking at the mentions, and it's either going to be one or the other. It's never going to be, hey, decent game. It's always going to be great game, or what in the world were you thinking? You're a disgrace. Yep. And you know, that's a real challenge. And I worry about that because I think it takes such a well-grounded person not to get caught up in that. And I say that as someone who, at 45 years old, I struggle with that myself.
Sure.
And so it's, you know, there's from the applause of man, sometimes it's easy to drink that up and think you're special. And then also when people are piling on, it's easy to think you're not worth anything. And that's a real prayer I have for our student athletes, that they not get caught up in that. And we try to help them. We try to encourage them on how they manage that as best as possible.
Good. And the best lessons are when you do mess up rather than when you're so successful. Seems to be that's when most of us really grow.
I work for a guy at Kentucky named Mitch Barnhart, who's still there. And he's probably, you know, one of my closest friends and a great mentor and man of great faith. And first conversation I ever had with him, the very first time I ever talked to Mitch Barnhart, I was still working at another school, and we were talking about the possibility of me going to Kentucky. And And he was in a period of time where he was receiving a lot of public criticism for something that had gone on there at UK, and he made the comment to me that, you know, sometimes I get caught up worrying about that, but I got to realize that I perform for an audience of one. First time I'd ever heard that phrase, but, you know, an audience of one, meaning God, and that's so true. It's such a great reminder that, you know, at the end of the day, that's the only person we got to worry about pleasing. And we're going to make mistakes on earth. We're going to stumble. We're fortunate to serve a Father who forgives us and picks us back up and loves us.
That's right.
And sometimes when we just hear the public criticisms of people here on earth, we forget that.
Yes, we do. As a pastor, dealing with a lot of bosses, dealing with the politics.
I understand that, Tom.
You know, you totally understand it. And that, you know, Jesus struggled with that too. And it is a challenge. But I want to tell you that the waters behind us that are bubbling up, I know Christ is in you. You're full of the Holy Spirit, and it shows. And I want to thank you for your ministry on this road that you're on. And I know you started here, and you're back here. What a great bookends of your life right now. Come through Auburn and Tulane and Baylor,
right,
and Kentucky.
Yes, good job.
Yeah, and you're back here. And these bricks right here remind us of the foundation that we came from.
Right.
It's beautiful.
Very
beautiful.
Good.
Well, we want to thank you, Scott, for being with us on
Thank
the road
you, Tom.
in between.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for being here on our campus today.
You got it. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Way to go.